Hey, what's going on, guys? XpertFusion here, and welcome to the Walking Dead Telltale TV adaptation series. This is Season 3, Episode 15, which is titled, This Is It. So, the episode begins with Roman looking around nervously as he is still tied up against the stop sign. He can't get himself freed. He looks all over the place, and he sees a truck approaching the area with the group stuffed inside it. Of course, the group that was escaping the killer's base in the previous episode. He yells out for them to help him, pretty much, and they quickly stop by. The group keeps their guns up at him in case it's a trap, and Shell asks what the hell he's doing here. Roman tells him about Carver and that he's after Rebecca right now, so they gotta hurry up. They get him freed, throw him in the truck, and drive up to the place. They run over some walkers, get to the main doors as they have to kill some walkers to get inside, and Clem is there to let them inside. They all ask Clem where everybody is, so they bring him over to the group, and they all kind of regroup. Sandy and Darius are in charge of keeping the hostages on site as they still have their guns pointed at them. The group all reunite together as they see them piling up walker bodies in a pile to kind of, free them out of the way because they're all all over the place pretty much. And they also see Carver's body with his mashed up face next to it. The group all talk about what happened with each other. Basically, everyone's just happy to see each other, and some of the red shirts learn the fates of some of their friends back at the killer's camp, and they tear up a bit. Tripp is done with this shit. He's lost too many people in too much of a quick succession of one another, so he's pissed. Lily asks what they're going to do now. Tripp says, wait for them to attack, and they finish it. And Vince argues and says that they got their people back. It should be time for them to leave now. And Tripp says after what they did, they aren't just leaving. Aaron says he doesn't want to risk any of their lives, but Tripp is right. These people will just do this to anyone, and he wouldn't feel right to just leave them out there. Vince says he's thinking of his people right here, right now. We got to look after ourselves first. Aaron understands that, but he tells Vince they can't just let these people continue to do what they are doing. And Vince starts yelling at Aaron, telling him how he was just trying to make a deal with those people. And then Aaron says, because peace would have been a better option at that time, but clearly that is not viable anymore. Tripp says it's settled then. He tells everyone to get ready for a fight. Darius asks what the hell they should do with Kyle and Mariah, and Kyle continues to plead for his life as Mariah doesn't speak. Vince sits down all pissed off as Shell goes to comfort him. She tells him they'll be okay. She says after what they did to Becca and Wyatt, she needs this vengeance anyways, and Vince says he just doesn't want to lose her, and they share a nice little moment, nice little kiss. Everyone starts getting defenses ready all around the little area in the mall. Tripp says the walkers outside help keep them out, but they'll be able to get through them, so it won't buy them that much time. Tavia and Omid are stacking up some wood planks as defenses, and Omid asks Tavia if she thinks it'll be easy finding Krista after all this, and Tavia says she wants to say yes, but she can't lie, it'll be tough. But knowing she might be in or around Wellington is important. Tavia tells Omid that she wishes that she was here for Carver's death. She didn't stop thinking about him since he killed Russell. Omid says you didn't really show it, and Tavia says she's pretty good at hiding things like that. She knew it would get people killed if she tried running off to find him, so she just let it go. But seeing him dead now, it makes her feel better. She asks Omid if he thinks that's normal, and Omid says he's not the right person to ask for personality advice, to be completely honest, and they have a good laugh at that. Luke, Jordan, and Bonnie carry out as many weapons to the downstairs area as possible. They have some grenades and some smoke bombs as well. Luke lets the others know that the ammo isn't unlimited, so try to conserve it as much as possible. Bonnie asks Luke how he's doing, considering he was locked up in a cell or on the run for the past couple days, and Luke says he's alive and that's all he needs to keep going right now. Roman is sitting in a children's toy store by himself. Nick goes in and sees what he's up to, and he's just staring at the toys, telling Nick how much he wanted to have a kid of his own someday, but it just never ended up happening because of this shitstorm. Nick tells him that none of them out there care what he's done in the past, whatever bad shit he did to Shell and whatever they were talking about before. All of that doesn't really matter right now because he's here with them right now, and they need help winning this, and he's part of that, so he needs to help them. He's basically trying to convince Roman to come out and help them boarding up and getting ready for this fight. Clem helps board up a section of a clothes store to keep Rebecca and the non-fighters safe. Clem says she can stand outside and protect it. Dave and Sarah say they will too, but Kenny comes over and says he wants all of them inside. He'll be out here protecting them. Clem tells Kenny that she can fight, and Kenny says he knows she can, but he doesn't want her to. He says she's got a lot more life in her, way more. Trip, Sandy, and Darius find a better place to keep the 2 hostages secure. It's in a sunglass shop. Kyle keeps saying he can help fight them, but Trip tells him to shut up. Luke checks on Jane to see how she's doing, and she's really upset, obviously, about what happened to Molly. She tells Luke if they come across that Slater guy, she wants him to let her kill him, and Luke says sure. Some epic music plays as we continue to see everyone gearing up for a battle. Back at the killer's base, some of the killers from the trucks that were destroyed last episode return to the base and tell Calvin that they escaped. Calvin is pissed off. He orders everyone to get ready for an attack on that mall. He says that they are still there. They kill them all this time, no hesitation. Stu asks how he proposes they do this, and he lets him know that they are rather low on bullets. And Calvin questions how the fuck that's even possible. Stu says he's been using a lot recently. The crew hasn't had time producing more, and plus, most of us are dead, or the equipment was even destroyed. Stu says they only have 2 helicopters left as well. Calvin tells them to make every damn bullet count. They go in an hour. He then tells Slater to get the walkers ready. He tells them to arm them up first, and we don't really know what that means, but we'll find out. Back at the mall, the group stands around the mall just waiting. Clem, Sarah, Dave, Rebecca with the baby, the old woman, and her caretaker all sit in the changing room of the clothes store as Kenny stands outside behind the counter with an AK-47. The others are scattered around the mall at different points, keeping every possible entrance secure. The group hear a helicopter coming as everyone gets into positions. The helicopter just flies right over their heads as it's holding a giant crate. The group look up and start firing through the glass ceiling up at the helicopter, but the helicopter just drops the crate right through the ceiling and lands on the floor of the mall. The gate opens to the crate as walkers are unleashed. About 15 or so walkers come sprawling out of the crate. The group take them out pretty easily just by shooting them in the head, but after they kill them all, Shell notices beeping, and Calvin is shown on the other helicopter in the distance as he clicks a detonator. There were C4s strapped to these chests of these walkers, just like the C4 that was strapped to the chest of the walker that blew up Wyatt back in the bank earlier this season. And this explosion, once he clicks that detonator, is pretty massive and sends some of the people flying across the area. Darius in particular was right next to this pile of walkers. He is shown with both of his legs gone. They are blown off, and Omid sees him screaming in pain, trying to crawl away. The group is mortified, and one of Tripp's people, one of the red shirts, is in pieces, completely dead. Part of his head is completely blown off and is right next to Tripp, and they are just in shock at this sight. And Darius is just trying to crawl away as Omid runs up to him to get him to safety, as Luke yells at him to stay away from the walker bodies because another vest blows up. Not all of them were with the same detonator, and this one causes another explosion to happen, and Darius's body flies again. As Omid gets to, Omid's able to get to cover during this though, so he's okay. But after this, Darius is now completely dead, and he's just laying right next to Omid, just dead. Omid is shocked, everyone is. Luke tells everyone to stay put. Tripp says they should shoot the vests, blow them up, so they don't have to worry about them anymore. Tripp gets ready to do that as they hear trucks pull up to the base. About 9 or so trucks and vans roll up to the front doors and light up the walkers using their guns and the turrets on the back of these vehicles. The 2 helicopters come back, this time without any crates. The helicopters land on the roof as Calvin and Slater get out. They load up with everyone else. There are roughly 10 killers on the roof and about 50 in the trucks themselves outside. This is all of them. None of the killers stayed behind for this. They all came for this battle. The group finish up the walkers and make their way through the front entrance slowly. Half of the group can't make their way to protect the others because they are trapped on the other side of the hallway because of the C4 walkers, so they're split up. The main group is split up right now. Tripp tells everyone to step back as he takes a shot at the C4s and blows up the vests. He continues to shoot, making sure they're all done, and he basically uses a lot of ammo to do that, but he does it successfully and there's no more explosions. Those on the roof make their way through the staircase to lead them down into the mall itself. Everyone regroups on the mall floor as they get back into positions to get ready for the incoming threat. Jordan questions if they should try to flank them, and Bonnie says that could be dangerous. The group anxiously wait for these killers to arrive as 2 killers drop down concussion grenades of some sort from the roof. The group hit the deck right when the concussion grenades go off, which distorts everyone's vision for a couple of seconds as shots are fired. The killers come crowding down the hallway, firing back. This group of 50 is led by Stu down the main hallway. From the back, Slater, Calvin, and a group of 8 other guys lead an attack from behind. Luke, Nick, 2 red shirts, Omid, and Tavia are the only ones watching the back, so they are forced to shoot, but they have to retreat into some random stores around the area because they are completely outnumbered. Kenny keeps the clothing store on lockdown as he sees Tavia retreat into the store with him. She gets behind cover with Tavia as he asks what the hell happened. 2 more red shirts are shot and killed from Tripp's group during the shootout. Tripp is now shaking in terror as he becomes enraged and starts lighting up killers with his M16, killing at least 4 guys. Jordan, Bonnie, and Luke decide to flank around through a restaurant and get behind the killers and start taking them out one by one from behind. Sandy keeps an eye on the hostages in the sunglass store as Mariah is able to get herself loose. She grabs Sandy from behind once Sandy gets distracted by hearing all the gunshots, and they get into a bit of a scuffle, and Kyle tells Mariah to stop this shit as he just sits there because he's tied up, obviously. Sandy and Mariah are now in a full-on fistfight in the sunglass store. Omid, Nick, and 1 red shirt are chased around a big open clothes store. Omid spots Slater and Calvin walking around with 2 other guys as Omid starts shooting at them. He hits Calvin in the chest, but he's wearing a bulletproof vest. Omid is shot in the shoulder as the 2 guys with Calvin and Slater come up to them. Nick flanks around and shoots both of these guys in the back of the head. The red shirt and Nick help Omid get out of there as Slater shoots the red shirt in the back, killing him. Nick and Omid make a run for the door and make it back into the main shootout. Killers and even people from our group start slowly running out of ammo. We see it happening from many different people. Jane, Roman, Vince, and Shell are behind the crate for cover as they see Omid and Nick running from the store and getting to cover somewhere else. Jane spots Slater. She fires at him as he gets to cover as Slater is with Calvin, of course, in that one clothing store. I'm just going to call it Macy's because Macy's are usually in malls, so it's a Macy's. Let's go with that. The other guy in that store comes out and fires back, so those behind the crate are forced to retreat in nearby stores. The walker herd on the other side of the mall slowly makes its way through the doors of the food court because obviously all the gunshots going off in this battle kind of rile them up, and when walkers get riled up they start doing more stuff and they start banging on stuff more, so they break through the doors of the main food court and they all start coming in like a swarm. It's crazy. Luke, Jordan, and Bonnie are the ones who are behind the main group itself, and they turn around and they see this walker herd coming through the food court, so they decide to run, and they run to a completely different portion of the mall. The walkers go behind the killers and then start attacking them and forcing the killers to fight back against the walkers as well. Tripp pops the smoke to give their people a place to retreat from the open area as the killers start to retreat from the mall as well once the walkers start coming. Calvin and Slater see their people retreating as Calvin screams on the walkie and tells everyone not to go, but they go anyways. So Calvin and Slater return to the roof with the helicopter as they look off into the distance and see an even bigger herd than the one that's already in the mall. It's a mega herd coming down the opposite side of the highway. So the killers alert Calvin that they are lacking ammunition as well, so Calvin says fuck it, tells them to meet up at the rendezvous. Calvin and Slater get into the helicopter and fly off with a couple other killers that are still remaining there, and the killers that are obviously down by the trucks. They get in and they leave, but not all of them because a lot of them have died in the shootout. A couple killers were left behind with severe injuries like bullets in the shoulders and stuff like that, and they're just kind of laying there on the floor. They can't get away from the walker herd, so they are eaten alive. And the group that is still there in the mall, of course, used the big crate, and they all push against it so they can move it, blocking the herd away from the area, and it actually successfully works. Now the herd is blocked off by the crate. Kenny and Tavia meet back up with everyone else. Trip asks where Sandy is, but we go over to her. She's still fighting Mariah in the sunglass store. Mariah gets on top of Sandy and starts choking her out as Kyle successfully unties himself, grabs a pipe off the floor, smacks Mariah upside the head. Sandy quickly grabs her Glock and fires 3 shots into Mariah's stomach and then 1 more in the head. Kyle drops the pipe and puts his hands up when Sandy turns back around to him. Jane looks outside the window and sees that mega herd coming their way, already having a ton inside to deal with. Trip says they'll be back, for sure. Omid finds Darius turned as a walker, but his arms and legs are missing. It's very gross, and Omid puts him down. Jane and Nick say they have to go find the others, referring to Luke, Jordan, and Bonnie. Lily says she'll come along. Aaron demands that everyone else stays put, so Jane, Nick, and Lily gear up and head through the second floor of the building as everyone else stays and checks the remaining bits of their ammo. They are low. Calvin, Stu, Slater, and the remaining 30 or so killers regroup at a bar parking lot on the highway. Calvin says they can't give them too much time to regroup. To avoid the herd, they'll have 10 people in each helicopter. They can fit it. They'll shoot from above, and everyone else will just go through using the remaining bits of ammo with the trucks at the same entrance they entered through before. Stu says this isn't a good idea, and they might have a lot of ammo. The enemies might have a lot of ammo. Calvin says they outnumber them. They still do. They will be able to do this. He knows they can. He says this has to be the final attack. They have to kill them all. And then he ends it off with saying, "This is it." And boom, end of the episode. So that was the first portion of the battle, the final battle, and the next episode is obviously going to be the final push, the final portion of this battle that we're going to see. And obviously I'll explain more next episode. Obviously more will happen. It's the finale, of course. Some big shit's got to happen. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.